I've been a wildlife biology contractor for about 6 years now. Basically, when the state or university needs someone to go count birds, track wolf packs, or check water quality in places that don't have cell service, they call guys like me. You learn to love the isolation, or you learn to tolerate it. This happened last fall in the Umpqua National Forest in Oregon. I was on a 10-day solo assignment to monitor a threatened species of owl. The permit gave me access to a massive patch of old-growth forest, miles from the nearest paved road. I've slept in a tent next to bear tracks. I've had mountain lions walk past my hammock at 2 a.m. None of that scared me. What happened on day 4 is why I don't go into the deep woods alone anymore. Not because of an animal, because of what I found watching me from the tree line. My setup was pretty standard. I had a base camp near a creek, and every day I would hike a transect line, basically a straight line through the woods to check on nesting boxes. The forest out there is loud with life. Elk, squirrels, the wind through the firs. But on the morning of day 4, I hit a dead zone. About 2 miles from my camp, the birds just stopped singing. Completely. It was like someone hit a mute button. That's usually a bad sign. It usually means a predator is nearby. Or a person. I kept walking, and that's when I saw the structure. It wasn't a cabin or a yurt. It was a large military surplus tent, the kind you see in disaster relief zones, but it was olive drab and covered in moss. It looked like it had been there for years, but the guy ropes were brand new, bright white nylon. Here's the thing. I had the master permit for this area. I knew every legal campsite, every research outpost. This tent wasn't on my map. There were no tire tracks leading to it. No ATV trails. It was just there. I called out, "Hello, USFS contractor. Anyone home?" Silence. But the tent flap was moving. Not in the wind. There was no wind, but like someone had just let go of the zipper. I know you're not supposed to go into strange structures in the woods. I know that, but I'm a scientist. Curiosity is basically a job requirement. Inside, it wasn't a campsite. It was a laboratory. Sort of. There were plastic totes full of glass vials, a portable microscope on a folding table, and a heavy-duty car battery hooked up to a radio transmitter I didn't recognize. But the thing that got me was the smell. It was sweet and rotten, like honey left out in the sun too long. Underneath, that was the metallic smell of blood. On the cot in the corner was a notebook, a spiral bound right in the rain notebook, the kind we all use. I opened it. The first few pages were normal survey data, GPS coordinates, wind speed, but the handwriting got worse as it went on. Day 14. Subject does not sleep. It only waits. The vocalizations are not coming from the throat. They come from the chest. I flipped to the last entry. It was dated 3 months ago. Drop the mic again. It mimics my wife's voice now. It knows I know it isn't her. That seems to amuse it. I am packing up. I am leaving the tent. If you find this book, do not follow the whistling. Do not look up. I dropped the book. That's when I heard it. A low, 2-note whistle. It sounded exactly like a bird I'd never heard before, but it was coming from under the tent, from the dirt floor. I got out there fast. I didn't run, because running triggers prey drive, but I power walked back toward my transect line. I kept telling myself it was a hoax. A crazy hermit. Anything. I decided to cut my transect short and loop back to camp via a ridge line to get better cell reception to call my supervisor. I hiked for about an hour. The silence followed me. Even my own footsteps sounded muffled, like the forest was absorbing the noise. That's when I found the first stick. It was jammed vertically into a mossy stump. Tied to the top of it was a piece of yellow flagging tape, the stuff we use to mark trails. But it was tied in a complex knot, almost like a noose. Below it, Scratched into the tree bark were 3 vertical lines. I kept going. 50 feet later, another stick, another knot. This time, there was a rotting deer leg propped against the base of the tree. It had been severed cleanly at the joint. No bite marks, no claw marks, cut by a blade. At this point, I wasn't scared. I was logically terrified. My hand was shaking, but my brain was running calculations. I realized the sticks were forming a path. They weren't marking a trail to somewhere. They were marking a boundary, a fence line that someone didn't want me to cross. I crossed it anyway to get back to camp. That was my mistake. I got back to my camp just before sunset. Everything was where I left it. Tent was zipped. Food bag was hung in a tree. I started boiling water for dinner, trying to scrub the image of that notebook out of my head. Then I saw it, at the edge of the clearing. It wasn't a man, but it was shaped like one. It was crouched down like a sprinter on the starting blocks. Its skin was the color of concrete, and it was hairless. No ears, just holes on the sides of its head. It was wearing torn scraps of what used to be a USFS uniform, the same color as mine. It wasn't looking at my face. It was looking at my radio, at my compass, at the ember of my stove. It was studying my gear. It opened its mouth. No teeth came down from the top, just smooth pink gums. But the bottom jaw had teeth that were flat and white, like a horse's. And then it spoke. It didn't scream. It spoke. It used my voice. It said, "Curiosity is a job requirement." It was quoting me from my call out earlier. It had listened from the woods, learned my voice, and was throwing it back at me. I didn't pack up. I grabbed my belt knife, my satellite messenger, and I ran. I ran straight down the logging road toward the highway. It was 5 miles. It was the longest 5 miles of my life. I heard it behind me, not running, walking, crushing the gravel with heavy, slow steps. And it kept whistling that 2-note tune. Occasionally, it would whisper my name. Not yell, just whisper it like we were friends. I hit the pavement and didn't stop until I saw headlights. A log driver picked me up. He said I looked like I'd seen the devil. I told him I saw something that learned how to mimic a man. The sheriff went up there the next day with a game warden. They found the tent. They found the notebook. They found the sticks. But they didn't find any tracks leading away from the tent. No footprints in the mud. No broken branches. They said the tent belonged to a researcher who went missing 3 months ago. A guy who specialized in animal vocalization. They never found his body. The official report blamed a mountain lion for the deer carcasses and ruled the missing person as lost in the wilderness. I still have that satellite messenger. The GPS logs show my route. They also show a second set of coordinates shadowing mine, moving in perfect tandem about 200 yards to my left the entire hike out. I don't know what that thing was. A skinwalker? A government experiment? A new species of ape? I don't care. All I know is that it knew my voice after hearing it once, and wanted me to follow those flagging tapes deeper into the woods. If you're in the woods and the birds go quiet, don't look up. Have you had any horrifying experience in the woods before? Share it in the comment box below or send to our email address on this channel.